I'm Diane, your host of Epic Conversations. Thanks for joining us. And we are back again with my good friend David McClure. David is director at Andrew Wommack Ministries in Woodland Park, and he has a couple hundred people working for him. So David is a great expert on leadership, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, servant leadership. And David, thanks for coming back.
You know how you become an expert? You fail a lot.
You fail. Well, that's one of the failures, one of the good things for success, as long as we learn from it. But we were talking off camera, David, and people have been asking you, they want to know, how do you be a servant leader? So tell us, how do you be one? And from your experience, you know, there's a lot of controversy too. I mean,
there is.
Give us some examples.
Well, honestly, if we really want to talk about that, we should understand what the word servant means.
Okay.
And servant is you're serving somebody else. And so whether it's people below you or people above you, you're still serving somebody else. You're either serving your boss and the mission up there, or you're serving your people by equipping them with everything they need to do their job.
Okay.
So if we understand a servant is somebody who does something for somebody else or helps somebody else, and then we add the word leadership to it, it almost sounds like an oxymoron. Well, how do you wash somebody's feet while leading them to the promised land? And
I like that analogy.
you can't do it at the same time. If they're walking, it makes it really hard to wash their feet. But there is that the washing the feet. The servant is preparing them to go where you need them to go, where you want them to go. So the other thing that we have to consider is a servant leader. So one of the questions that we were talking about off camera is, okay, let's say you have a boss who isn't your ideal boss. Maybe you wouldn't even call them a servant leaders. Maybe you'd call them, general, because they, they're more about how many stars they have rather than the people who work for them. And here's my point on that is, if you have people reporting to you, then you are their boss. And just because your boss may choose to act in a way you would rather them not do it, doesn't mean that your people have to know about it. It doesn't mean that you have to suddenly reflect that same, demeanor on your people. That's where you have to understand. I tell my staff all the time, walk in the authority of the position you hold. And so if you are a leader, just because you may have a not so good leader above you, your authority is still over these people. So just because your leader, wants you to do one thing, I use the story, if your leader said, hey, take a stick out there and hit all your people, are you going to do it? Well, most of us, hopefully all of us, would say, well, no, I'm not going to do that. So if their instruction is so bad it's going to be the detriment of the department, detriment of the people you're responsible for, you have to walk in your authority, which is challenging that person on how to do it, what to do, fill in the blank at that point in time. I think that's the thing that we quite often forget. Well, I just have to do what my boss says. Well, do you have to do it exactly the way your boss says? If your boss said, go out there and crack a whip, does that mean you have to go out and crack a whip? No, you go out there and you talk to your people, you give them what needs to be accomplished. Maybe we should stop there. What needs to be accomplished, and work with them on getting it accomplished. It doesn't mean you have to go out there and raise your voice and point your finger and everything else. The objective is still to accomplish whatever it is that has to be accomplished. And as a leader, you get to decide within reason how you will do that. Because even that bad leader, if you produce results, what are they going to say?
Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes people look at the end result, or like you said, what are the product being produced, or the volume that's coming out of that department, or if they got answers to their questions. How it's accomplished
exactly
could be like the dictator or the angry, or it could be the servant leadership.
Yeah.
But I like what you said about using the authority you have in your role.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, I think of the word personality, and that they're using their servant personality to accomplish the same goal
Mm-hmm.
without accepting the brutal the way maybe the
Mm-hmm.
manager above would want to do it. Just beat them over the head and get the job done. Whereas, no, that's not the servant leadership. But what if you had somebody, and we talked about this off
Mm-hmm.
camera, that was not like the brutal one, but kind of invisible or distant or unengaged type of manager? How can you still be a servant leadership in that environment?
I would almost say that's easier.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, you're about producing results, and whatever it is, it's about producing results. If it's making widgets, if it's answering phone calls, it's all about producing results. So if you have the hands-off leader, then you not only walk in your authority, but you start to also walk in that leader's authority to a degree, because he or she has kind of stepped aside, and so now you have to decide, okay, am I just going to focus on this coffee cup alone, or am I going to look at the bigger picture, not the big picture, but the bigger picture? Okay, we're producing this widget. Where does this widget have to go next, and who do we have to connect with? And now you start going to your boss and say, sir or ma'am, we're going to have to figure out another way to transport. We're going to have to figure out another way to deliver this. Do you want to talk to, fill in the blank boss's name of the other department? Do you want me to do that? And so you start leading your boss on what needs to happen. A conversation needs to take place. And so you can start slowly walking in your authority plus your boss's authority, that he or she will probably gladly give you if they're that hands off.
Okay. So again, we get back to the questions almost.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an unengaged manager over you, you can ask questions and lead them by the questions to accomplish your objective.
Yeah. And one last thing I'll add is through all that leading, as a servant leader, first off, your people are never unaware of what your boss is like. People talk, people see things. They are never fully unaware of whether you have a good boss or a bad boss. And if you have that bad boss, and they see how you are leading, they see how you're reacting, suddenly they start to learn that, well, I don't have to match that person's demeanor, that person's aggravation, that person's fill in the blank. I don't have to be that way. I can still be who I am, and I accomplish leading my people and protecting my people. John Maxwell, in one of his books, said this: a leader is someone who's able to obtain followers. It doesn't mean that somebody who's over a department and leads people, doesn't have followers, but it's just like the Bible says, to be willing and obedient. You can be obedient, you can be an obedient follower, but I believe that when you obtain followers, you have people who are willing and obedient, and they just see what they like, and I want to follow that person. And pretty soon you turn around and it's like, where'd all these people come from?
That's good. And when you were saying that, what I was thinking of was, are the followers following the position or the person? And there's a big difference, because just because somebody has the title and people have to do what the title person says, doesn't mean they really have followers. And if they have the person, when they begin to follow the person, that's when that's a true leader.
I agree with that. And keep in mind that everybody, or most people, get a job having no idea what their boss is going to be like. So, they just fill a position, and after a period of time, and it can be a really short period of time, they find out if they're allowed to be themselves, if they're allowed to grow, make the position their own within reason, or, no, you do this. You don't ever go over there. You just do this. And people figure that out. There was a movie years ago where this guy's on testifying about a military situation, and something's not written in the handbook. And so the other lawyer says, well, show me in the handbook where it tells you where the mess hall is. Well, it's not in there. Well, how do you know where it is? Well, I just follow everybody else. So not everything's written down. Sometimes you see where people are going, and then you get to decide, do I want to go that direction, or, am I going to stay here?
Okay. Well, thank you, David.
My pleasure.
And I want to close with this one last statement about servant.
Okay.
So a servant leader is one who serves others. Is that how you would say it?
Yes, absolutely.
And could we add they would serve others out of their heart, out of their personality?
I believe that's true. I think they serve if you truly love people. You serve people because you want them to succeed. You want them to enjoy what they're doing. You serve your boss because you're trying to serve the bigger picture. I'm drawing a blank now. I said something to Lesley the other day that would fit right in if I could think of what it was.
Okay, but that's really good. I like that because you're serving. Your focus is on the people, on who you're serving, whether it's your boss, the people under you, or your peers, and it comes from the heart. It's their welfare comes first.
Right.
And that's a true servant.
Right. And I remember what it was. We can close on this. Is she asked me, why do you do what you do? And I said, I just want to make people better.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
you want to make people better. Love it.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
You're a true servant leader.
I try.
Thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Hope you got something out of that. Please subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend, and in the meantime, have an epic day in the Lord. Hi, I'm Diane Grubus, and I've started a ministry, and I want to bless you. I'm so excited about it. DianeGrubus.com. Go to the website and check out all the wonderful things that we have in store for you. Have some great epic conversations with some powerful guests and some teachings, free downloads. And we would love to have you join us, love to have you partner with us. We appreciate you and we want to hear from you. So check out the website and thank you.